Mr. Finkel said. The government calls Limarie Reyes.
The law clerk said, "Would you please raise your right?"
Witness sworn.
The law clerk said, "Thank you."
The court said, "All righty. Please be seated. And bring the microphone very close to your mouth so that we can hear you. Speak up. Say your name and spell it."
The witness said, "My name is Limarie Reyes, spelled Limarie.
The court said, "So I'm having trouble hearing you. So you really have to bring the microphone all the way to your mouth and speak loud into the microphone."
The witness said, "My name is Limarie Reyes, spelled Limarie.
The court said, "You may inquire."
Mr. Finkel said, "Thank you, Your Honor."
Limarie Reyes, called as a witness by the government, having been duly sworn, testified as follows. Direct examination. By Mr. Finkel.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
What area of the country do you live in?
Puerto Rico.
Where do you currently work?
I've been unemployed. I'm working right now in my business for events.
For what?
Event planning.
What's the name of that business?
Sprinkle Events.
What kind of events does Sprinkle Events plan?
We do kids' parties, birthday parties, small corporate events as well.
How many employees does Sprinkle Events have?
Just me.
How many events has Sprinkle Events planned?
Roughly around 5.
And you said kids' parties? How old are the children for the parties?
1 year, mainly, and 10.
How long have you worked at, or had Sprinkle Events?
Since November.
What's the approximate budget of the events at Sprinkle Events for those 5 events?
Roughly around $2,500.
Now you said before Sprinkle Events that you were unemployed for a bit?
Yes.
Before that, where did you work?
I worked at G Clubs.
And what was your role at G Clubs?
Changed over time. I started as VP of Marketing and Events. Later on I became the interim CEO and later the CEO.
The court said, "So I'll need you to just get very close to the microphone so that everyone in the courtroom can hear you."
When did you start at G Clubs, approximately?
December 2020.
And what was your title when you started?
VP of Marketing and Events.
And when did you become, you said, the interim CEO?
Around February 2021.
And when did you become the CEO?
Around summer 2021.
Ms. Reyes, as the CEO of G Clubs, did you have final decision-making authority on all matters concerning G Clubs?
No, I did not.
Were you in charge of G Club?
No, I was not.
As part of your role as CEO, did you get updated on the revenues, the monthly revenues of G Clubs?
Not on a regular basis, no.
Did you set the budget at G Clubs?
No.
As the CEO of G Clubs, who did you report to?
I reported to the ultimate beneficial owner, UBO, Mr. He.
The court said, "Okay, so your voice is very low. And I need for you to speak up because the reporter here is writing down what you say. And also all the people in the back row, they need to hear you, so speak loudly."
The witness said, "Sorry."
Who did you report to? When you were the CEO of G Clubs, who did you report to?
Mr. He.
What was his first name?
Howren He.
How do you spell he?
He.
Did you report to anybody else?
Yes, I reported to Yvette as well.
What's her last name?
Wang.
When did you leave G Clubs?
March 2023.
So in total, Ms. Reyes, how long were you the interim and CEO of G Clubs?
I was with G Clubs around 2.5 years.
And what was your understanding of what G Clubs was supposed to be?
It was a membership club that provided benefits to its members.
Was G Clubs a political organization?
No.
How much did it cost to become a G Club's member?
It depended on the different tiers. It would range from $10,000 to $50,000, depending on the tier.
And how many tiers were there?
5.
How much did each tier cost?
Tier 1 was $10,000, Tier 2, $20,000, Tier 3, $30,000, Tier 4, $40,000, Tier 5, $50,000.
Was there a yearly fee for membership?
Yes. So after the initial fee, the yearly fee was 5% of their tier.
And if a member didn't pay their yearly fee, what happened to their membership?
It would get inactivated.
And if it was inactivated, could the member use the benefits that G Clubs provided?
No.
Ms. Reyes, did G Clubs provide its members stock in G Clubs?
No, it did not.
Did G Clubs provide its members stock in G Fashion?
No.
Did G Clubs provide its members stock in any company?
No.
Was G Clubs an investment club?
No.
Mr. Finkel said, Ms. Loftus, if we can please display what's in evidence as GXC 160V. Go to 1135. Ms. Reyes, do you recognize the individual on your screen?
Yes.
Who is it?
Mr. Gov't.
What's his first name?
Miles Gov't.
Do you know him by any other names?
Kwok.
How do you spell that?
KWOK? I'm not sure.
Did people that you worked with at G Clubs and yourself call Miles Gov't by any other titles?
I've heard boss, principal.
Mr. Finkel said, Ms. Loftus, you can play that, please.
Video played.
Mr. Finkel said, pause right there. Ms. Reyes, is what Mr. Gov't just said, that if you get a $50,000 membership with G Club, you get G Fashion stocks. True?
No.
Do you see Mr. Gov't in the courtroom here today?
Yes.
Can you point him out?
Mr. Comraju said, will stipulate to identity, Your Honor.
The court said, all righty. Go ahead.
Is it true that memberships at G Club were limited, that there was only certain space available?
No.
Mr. Finkel said, you can take that down. At the time that you were working at G Clubs, had you seen that video that we just watched here in court?
Not that I recall, no.
When you were the CEO of G Clubs, Ms. Reyes, did there come a time when you became aware that G Clubs members expected to receive stock?
Yes, there was a time.
The court said, all right. I have to remind you to keep your voice up so that the jury and the rest of us can hear your testimony.
You can move the microphone as close to you as you like. Feel free to move it to make yourself comfortable. Try to speak directly into the mic, okay? Ms. Reyes, what was your understanding as to why G Clubs members expected, or some of them expected to receive stock when they purchased a G Clubs membership?
Mr. Comraju said, objection.
The court said, overruled.
You can answer.
Could you repeat the question? Sorry.
What was your understanding as to why some G Clubs members expected to receive stock when they purchased a G Clubs membership?
There had been a video where Mr. Gov't had mentioned that they would get stock.
Ms. Reyes, when you were the CEO of G Clubs, when did you tell Mr. Gov't that he shouldn't say that G Clubs members receive stock? Slower.
Mr. Comraju said, objection. Lack of foundation.
The court said, all righty. So let's take it a little.
Mr. Finkel said, sure. Ms. Reyes, did there come a time, if ever, when you were the CEO of G Clubs where you told Mr. Gov't to not say in videos that G Clubs members receive stock?
No, I did not.
Why didn't you say that to him?
I didn't feel I had the authority to say that to him.
What do you mean you didn't feel like you had the authority to say that to Mr. Gov't?
I didn't view myself as a person to say that. I would rely on the owner, not me.
Who's that?
Mr. He.
We'll go back to G clubs in a moment. Ms. Reyes, are you testifying here pursuant to an agreement with the government?
Yes.
And what type of agreement? Or what is that agreement called?
Non-prosecution agreement.
And what is your understanding of what your obligations are under that non-prosecution agreement?
I have to tell the truth, provide information when asked, attend meetings, testify if requested, and not commit crimes.
And if you meet your obligations under the non-prosecution agreement, what has the government promised to do for you?
Not charged with any crimes during my time in G clubs.
I didn't hear the last part.
During my time in G clubs.
The court said, so maybe if you just get so close to the microphone that you're almost touching it. Get very close.
Mr. Finkel said, you can move the microphone. It's okay. All right? You can move it. Aside from the non-prosecution agreement covering you for your conduct at G clubs. Does it cover you for anything else?
Sorry. Could you repeat that?
Sure. You said the non-prosecution agreement, if you meet what you have to do under it. The government won't charge you for your work when you worked at G clubs. Aside from that, is there anything else that the government won't charge you for?
No.
If you lie here today, what would happen to your non-prosecution agreement?
It would get cancelled, null.
And if you lie here today, could you be charged for perjury?
Yes.
And the statements that you provided to the government in the past, could those be used against you if your non-prosecution agreement is torn up?
I believe so.
How many times have you met with the government in advance of your testimony today, approximately?
I would say more than 10.
Ms. Reyes, does the outcome of this trial or any trial have any impact on whether your non-prosecution agreement gets torn up or not?
Mr. Comraju said, objection to form.
I'll rephrase it. Withdrawn? Does the outcome of this trial have any impact on your non-prosecution agreement?
No.
Who's Steve Weber?
Steve Weber is the recruiting person that interviewed me for my role in G clubs.
And after you interviewed with Steve Weber, who, if anyone, did you interview with?
I interviewed with Jessica and Yvette.
Mr. Finkel said, can we please display what's in evidence as Government Exhibit 102? Ms. Reyes, who is depicted in Government Exhibit 102?
Yvette.
What questions did Yvette ask you during your interview for G clubs?
She asked me about my history and my past jobs, my event experiences, what I had done prior.
Ms. Reyes, what languages do you speak?
Spanish and English.
Do you speak Mandarin?
No.
Did Ms. Wang ask you if you spoke Mandarin?
Not that I recall.
Did Yvette ask you about your political beliefs?
Not that I recall.
Did she ask you about the Chinese Communist Party?
Not that I recall.
Did she ask you your position, if any, on democracy in China?
Not that I recall.
What is your position, if any, on the Chinese Communist Party?
I don't have a position.
Do you follow Chinese politics?
No.
Would you say you're familiar with Chinese culture?
No.
Did Yvette mention anything during your interview about the new federal state of China?
Not that I recall.
Are you a member of the new federal state of China?
No.
Did Yvette mention that G clubs had anything to do with the whistleblower movement during your interview?
Not that I recall.
Mr. Finkel said, if we can display what's been marked for identification as GXBR 470, just for the witness, please. Go to the next page, please. Next page. Take that down for a second. One moment, please.
By Mr. Finkel.
Ms. Reyes, in connection with your interview with Yvette, did Yvette mention someone named Victor?
Sorry. During my...
In connection with your interview for G clubs, before you were hired with Yvette, Did Yvette mention someone named Victor?
Not during the interview, but through the different communications, yes.
And who was Victor?
At the time I didn't know, but later on I learned that he's an attorney.
What's his last name?
Serta.
Mr. Finkel said, "Can you please display what's in evidence as GX109? Who is this individual in GX109?
Victor.
Why did Yvette mention Victor during your interview process with G Clubs? Do you know?"
I don't know.
Mr. Comraju said, objection to form.
The court said, sustained. How can she possibly know what's in the mind of Yvette?
Did Yvette say anything about why she mentioned Victor in the context of your interview for G Clubs?
That he might be reaching out.
For what?
Interview.
After interviewing with Yvette, were you hired?
Yes, I was hired.
In what role?
VP of Marketing and Events.
And what was your salary when you started at G Clubs?
Roughly around 100,000.
And the job you were working at before G Clubs, what were you doing at that job?
Events manager.
What was your salary at that prior job?
Around 60,000.
When you started, Ms. Reyes, where were G Club's offices located?
When I started, it was a co-working space, and later then we got our office space in San Juan.
And the co-working space was where?
San Juan.
Puerto Rico?
Correct.
How many employees were there when you started at the co-working space in San Juan, Puerto Rico?
Just me.
What was your understanding, if any, about why G Clubs was based in Puerto Rico?
To my understanding was to benefit from the tax incentives.
When you were working at G Clubs, Ms. Reyes, how were you paid?
Via direct deposit.
And did G Clubs provide health insurance?
Yes.
Was there a payroll system?
Yes.
And when you were at G Clubs, did you believe it was a legitimate business?
Yes.
Did you believe you were committing any crimes?
No.
Were there other employees hired after you?
Yes.
During your time at G Clubs, approximately how many employees were there? What was the range?
14.
And you said that you moved from the co-working space to another office. Is that correct?
Yes.
And where was that other office located?
San Juan as well.
And where? Was it an office building? Can you describe what the office was like?
Yes, it was an office building in San Juan area. It was a floor. It had views to the ocean.
Did there come times while you were employed at G Clubs where the cable or internet would go out?
Yes.
And what would the employees say, if anything, when that would happen?
They would joke about it was the CCP.
It was what?
The CCP.
Why would employees joke that it was the CCP when the internet went out?
Because we had heard that many things were due to the CCP.
Do you believe the CCP put the cable out at G Clubs?
Mr. Comraju said, objection.
The court said, overruled. You may say what you believe.
You can answer.
I don't know.
As far as you know, when did G Clubs start? Do you know a date?
2020.
And you mentioned Howard and he, is that correct?
Yes.
What was your understanding of his role at G Clubs?
The ultimate beneficial owner.
Mr. Finkel said, if we can please display what's been marked for identification as GX112. Do you recognize the individual depicted in GX112?
Yes.
Who is it?
Mr. He.
Mr. Finkel said, government offers 112.
Mr. Comraju said, no objection.
The court said, it is admitted.
Government's Exhibit 112 received in evidence.
Ms. Reyes, in what manner did you communicate with Mr. He?
I communicated with him via email, WhatsApp, and voice calls.
What was his email address? Mr. He's email address?
color@protonmail.com.
What is Proton Mail?
The email base that he used.
What was your email address at G-Clubs?
Reyes@clubs.com.
Why did your email address end at gclubs.com, but Mr. He had a Proton Mail address?
Mr. Kamaraju said, objection to form.
The court said, I'll permit the question.
You can answer.
I don't know.
The other employees you worked with in Puerto Rico, did they have Proton email addresses or G-Clubs email addresses?
G-Clubs.
What was your understanding of where Mr. He was located?
Where did he live?
Yeah.
In the UK.
Did Mr. He ever visit the office in Puerto Rico?
No.
How many times had you met Mr. He in person?
Twice.
How frequently would you speak with Mr. He when you were the interim and CEO of G-Clubs?
It would depend on the task. Not frequently, just as per his request.
What sort of tasks did Mr. He assign you?
Different tasks. It would vary from requesting to do loan agreements, or reaching out to potential partners, supporting documents for banking.
What do you mean by loan agreements?
A request would come to do a loan for some specifics, and we would create the package of the different documents.
Who would the request for a loan come from?
Depending. It could come from Mr. He, sometimes Yvette.
Did you ever decide to make loans?
No, I did not.
What entities, if any, did G-Club send loans to?
It would be G-Club operations to G-Club International BVI.
Did G-Clubs make any loans to any people?
There was one that was to an individual, yes.
What was the name of that individual that G-Club sent a loan to?
Miles' son.
Who is Miles' son?
Mr. Gua's son.
Approximately how many loans did Mr. He request that you help facilitate?
Not exactly sure, but more than 5.
What was the total dollar amount of loans that Mr. He requested you help facilitate?
I don't remember specifically.
Approximately how much?
I would say in the millions.
How many millions?
Maybe more than 100.
More than 100 million?
Yes.
How did Mr. He treat you when you were an employee of G-Clubs?
It would depend, but there were instances where he would raise his voice. There were some times that I felt not valued. He would say that you Puerto Ricans are slow.
What did Mr. He complain that you were being slow about?
Different tasks, but it was slow.
You mentioned that there was a loan made to my son from G-Clubs. What was your understanding, if any, about the nature of the relationship between Mr. He and my son?
I knew they were college friends.
Mr. Finkel said, could we put up GX102, please, Ms. Loftus? Ms. Reyes, to your knowledge, was Yvette on the payroll at G-Clubs?
No.
Did she have an official title at G-Clubs?
No.
What did you refer to her as and other people refer to her as at G-Clubs?
Mr. Kamaraju said, objection to form.
The court said, so break it up, please.
Mr. Finkel said, I apologize. What was Yvette referred to as at G-Clubs?
Her name.
Was she referred to by anything other than her name?
As a representative.
Representative of what, or who?
Just representative, but I viewed as representative of Mr. He.
What sort of things did Yvette work on for G-Clubs?
She would provide instructions in different matters from loans to finance, but just for events. At some point reviewing PRF forms, different aspects, legal.
You mentioned loans. Same sort of loans that you talked about a moment ago with Mr. He?
Yes.
In what ways did you communicate with Yvette?
It changed through time. Very early, it was email, then WhatsApp, then Signal. And voice calls as well.
How did Yvette treat you as an employee of G Clubs?
She treated me well. It was when things were not necessarily, we had recommendations different that it could become a little bit tense.
What is an issue that became tense with Yvette?
I do recall there was a time that there had been a request to transfer some funds and the recommendation was not to do so. And it was tense in that way. There was a time where
The court said, "One moment. Whose recommendation was not to do so and who made the request?"
The witness said, so legal recommendation was not to do so.
The court said, "When you say legal, do you mean an attorney?"
The witness said, counsel, yes.
The court said, "Okay. Go ahead. And who made the request?"
The witness said, Yvette in this case. By Mr. Finkel.
And the attorney who recommended not to do the transfer? That attorney was in-house counsel at G Clubs?
yes.
And when you relayed that recommendation to Yvette, what was her response?
That we would have to do it and not the exact words, but like if we didn't do it. It was like, it was on me, like it was my fault if something went wrong.
How much money was that transfer?
To the best of my recollection, around 5 million.
Where was that transfer to?
To a bank. I'm not sure which one.
How did that make you feel when Yvette said that if you don't do the transfer, it would be on you?
I felt that it was unfair.
Why?
Because I was relaying the suggestion from counsel. And I understood that to be, I'd rely on their advice.
Did you ask Yvette any questions about why this transfer would be on you if it didn't go through?
No, I don't recall that.
Did you ask Yvette any questions about why this transfer should happen even though counsel said it shouldn't?
I do not recall.
Did you ask any questions about whether we could wait, G Clubs could wait to do the transfer another time?
No, I do recall that was the instruction.
When you got instructions from Yvette, did you generally ask her many questions?
No.
When you got instructions from Mr. He, did you generally ask him any questions?
No.
The transfer you were just speaking about a moment ago with Yvette, did you go through with it? Did you process it?
Ultimately, yes.
Did Yvette express to you, well, withdrawn? Mr. Finkel said, we can take that down, Ms. Loftus. And if we could display for the witness what's been marked for identification as GX101. Who's that?
Mr. Gov't.
Mr. Finkel said, government offers 101.
Mr. Comraju said, no objection.
The court said, it is admitted.
Government's Exhibit 101 received in evidence.
What was Miles Gw's title at G Clubs?
He was a spokesperson for G Clubs.
And what did you understand that to mean, to be a spokesperson?
To speak on behalf of the company.
On behalf of who?
Of the company.
Company being?
G Clubs.
As far as you know, how much was Miles Gwa paid for his role as spokesperson of G Clubs?
He was not paid.
Mr. Finkel said, may I approach, Your Honor?
The court said you may.
Mr. Finkel said, handing the witness a binder. And Ms. Reyes, if you could take a look at that binder and flip through it. Mr. Finkel said, and Your Honor, I'll represent that binder contains the following government exhibits, which have been marked for identification, GX 1850, GX 1850A, and then the following exhibits in the GXGC series, GXGC 3, 27, 28, 33, 37, 38, 40, 43, 54, 59, 60, 93, 95, 121, 122, 197, 126, 136, 150A, 150, 157, 158, 160, 168, 175, 178, 184, 187, 189, 198, 209, 213, 218, 220, 221, 222, 227, 228, 233, 242, 254, 276, 286, 292, 293, 299, 300, 307, 309, 317, 318, 332, 334, 340, 341, 346, 363, 365, 372, 376, 377, 379, 380, 382, 387, 389, 392, 393, 483, 484, 485, 486, 487, 422, 423, 424, 405, 406, 409, 415, 416, 418, 419, 422, 427, 428, 431, 432, 433, 436, 438, 441, 443, 444, 450, 452, 453, 454, 455, 467, 470, 476, 480, 484, 486, 487, 494, 495, 497, 504, 541, 517, 518, 520, 521, 522, 525, 526, 527, 528, 530 to 534, 536 to 538, 540, 544, 547, 549, 553, 553A, and 550.
By Mr. Finkel.
Ms. Reyes, would you flip through that binder?
Yes.
Have you previously reviewed the contents of that binder?
Yes.
Is there a signature on the front of the binder?
Yes.
Whose signature is it?
Mine.
At a high level, what are the kinds of documents in that binder?
Emails sent by me or received by me, loan documents.
From what entity?
G clubs.
Mr. Finkel said, "The government offers those exhibits that I mentioned previously and hopefully don't have to read again. Unless you'd like me to."
Counsel conferring.
Mr. Kamaraju said, no objection, and we don't require it to be read again.
The court said, I didn't hear. You said no objection and?
Mr. Kamaraju said, and we don't request that all the exhibits be read again.
The court said, okay. All right. So they're all admitted.
Mr. Finkel said, "Thank you, Your Honor."
Government's Exhibits 1850, 1850A received in evidence. Government's Exhibits GC3, GC27, GC28, GC33, GC37, GC38, GC40, GC43, GC54, GC59, GC60, GC93, GC 95 received in evidence. Government's exhibits GC 121, GC 122, GC 197, GC 126, GC 136, GC 150A, GC 150, GC 157, GC 158, GC 160, GC 168, GC 175, GC 178, GC 184, GC 187, GC 189, GC 198 received in evidence. Government's exhibits GC 209, GC 213, GC 218, GC 220, GC 221, GC 222, GC 227, GC 228, GC 233, GC 242, GC 254, GC 276, GC 286, GC 292, GC 293, GC 299 received in evidence. Government's exhibits GC 300, GC 307, GC 309, GC 317, GC 318, GC 332, GC 334, GC 340, GC 341, GC 346, GC 363, GC 365, GC 372, GC 376, GC 377, GC 379, GC 380, GC 382, GC 387, GC 389, GC 392, GC 393 received in evidence. Government's exhibits GC 483, GC 484, GC 485, GC 486, GC 487, GC 422, GC 423, GC 424, GC 405, GC 406, GC 409, GC 415, GC 416, GC 418, GC 419, GC 422, GC 427, GC 428, GC 431, GC 432, GC 433, GC 436, GC 438, GC 441, GC 443, GC 444, GC 450, GC 452, GC 453, GC 454, GC 455, GC 467, GC 470, GC 476, GC 480, GC 484, GC 486, GC 487, GC 494, GC 495, GC 497 received in evidence. Government's exhibits GC 504, GC 541, GC 517, GC 518, GC 520, GC 521, GC 522, GC 525, GC 526, GC 527, GC 528, GC 530-534, GC 536-538, GC 540, GC 544, GC 547, GC 549, GC 553, GC 553A, and GC 550 received in evidence. By Mr. Finkel.
Did Mr. Gov't have a contract with G Clubs?
Yes.
Mr. Finkel said, okay. If we can display what's in evidence as Government Exhibit 541. GXGC 541. What is this document, Ms. Reyes?
It's an agreement between G Clubs and Mr. Gov't.
Okay. And it says, by and between Gov't and Gov't. Who do you understand that to be?
Mr. Gov't.
Mr. Finkel said, you can zoom out of that, please. And do you see under B at the bottom, where it says termination by the company for cause?
Yes.
Mr. Finkel said, zoom in on that, please, Ms. Loftus. Ms. Reyes, when you were the CEO of G Clubs, did you believe that you could fire Gov't as the spokesperson for G Clubs?
Mr. Kumraju said, objection. Calls for a legal conclusion.
The court said, overruled. You can say whether you believed you could fire him or not.
I didn't feel like I could fire him.
Mr. Finkel said, You can zoom out of that. Go to the next page, please. And can you zoom in on paragraph 3, Ms. Loftus? So here it says consideration level 5 membership. What, if anything? Do you understand Gov't was provided for his role as spokesperson for G clubs?
He was entitled to a membership.
To your knowledge, did he receive anything else aside from the level 5 membership?
Not that I was aware.
Who negotiated this contract?
I wouldn't know.
Who decided to make Gov't the spokesperson?
I don't know.
Did you ask any questions about why Gov't was the spokesperson?
No. He was already there when I started.
And when you started, did you ask any questions about why Gov't was the spokesperson?
No.
Did you ask any questions about this consulting agreement?
No.
Mr. Finkel said, Ms. Loftus, can you zoom out of that and go to page 7? Okay. Take that down. At the time that you were at G Clubs, Ms. Reyes, in what ways, if any, did G Clubs promote itself?
The spokesperson was Mr. Gov't, and through word of mouth, the farms. They would reach out to like-minded people.
And how did Gov't as the spokesperson promote G Clubs, to your knowledge, at the time?
Through his videos.
Did you watch his videos?
No.
How many members did G Clubs have?
Depending. It would increase, but by the time that I resigned, around 8,000.
You mentioned that another way G Clubs was promoted was word of mouth. Did you say through the farms?
Yes.
What are the farms?
I don't know exactly how to describe it. But it's a group of like-minded people that are located in different parts.
Who explained the farms to you?
It wasn't an explanation of what they were. It was just that they referenced the farms.
Did you ask Yvette how the farms got involved in promotion of G Clubs?
Not that I recall.
Did you ask Mr. He how the farms got involved in the promotion of G Clubs?
Not that I recall.
How were the farms, to your knowledge, if you know, involved in promoting G Clubs?
I do not know.
Were you a member of a farm?
No.
What is your understanding of where the 8,000 or so G Clubs members were located?
They're located throughout the world.
And what was your understanding of what language they spoke?
Mr. Kamraju said, all of them.
Mr. Finkel said, yes. What was your understanding, generally speaking, of the languages that the 8,000 G Clubs members spoke?
Most of them Mandarin.
Do you believe, when you were the CEO of G Clubs, that you were familiar with the like-minded ideology that you mentioned before of the G Clubs members?
If I was familiar?
Yeah.
No.
Of the 8,000 or so G Clubs members, approximately how many have you spoken with?
Maybe around 7, roughly.
Continued on next page. By Mr. Finkel.
You mentioned that Gov't was the spokesperson for G Club. Was there a disclaimer on G Club's website about Gov't?
Yes, there was.
And what, at a high level, did that disclaimer say?
Not exactly sure of the exact words. But that G Club is not linked to the things that are said by Mr. Gov't.
Did that disclaimer change over time?
Yes.
When did it change?
It changed after we received a subpoena.
Who's the we? Received the subpoena. Who is the we?
G Clubs.
And who was the subpoena received from?
The government.
If Mr. Gov't is the spokesperson of G Club, why was there a disclaimer on the website saying not to associate his statements with G Club?
I'm not sure. It was there. It was to my recollection when I started.
I'm going to ask you, Ms. Reyes, to speak loudly and clearly so everyone can hear you. Ms. Reyes, did you ask questions about the disclaimer to Yvette?
Not that I recall.
Did you ask questions about the disclaimer to Mr. He?
Not that I recall.
Did G Club members receive a membership card?
Physical card, no.
What would they receive, if anything, to signify their membership in G Club?
I recall there was an email that was sent with an image of a card.
You mentioned the prices for G Clubs. There was an initiation fee that ranged from $10,000 to $50,000. Is that correct?
Yes.
Why did you decide those prices?
I did not decide the prices.
Who did?
I don't know.
Did you ask any questions to Yvette about why the prices are what they are?
No, I did not.
What about Mr. He?
No, I did not.
You mentioned before that G Club's members didn't receive stock, correct?
Yes.
What benefits, if any, were G Club members? Were they entitled to?
They were entitled to different benefits throughout time. Can I list them?
You can list them, please.
They had discounts in G Fashion depending on their tier. There was a time where they were able to upload 2 hours of content to GTV. They had access to songs sung or written by Mr. Gov't. They had access to a 24/7 customer service. They had access to the G Talks events and sweepstakes.
Anything else?
Yes. We had hotels, discounts in hotels, gyms. There was a boarding charter. We had done a private tour of FAO Schwartz. They received Christmas gifts. We had a specialty dinner in a Michelin star restaurant. We had 2 hotel stays, one in Fiji and one in Australia. We had a discount at Formula One. Those are the ones that I recall.
How did the G Fashion discount work?
Depending on their tier, they would receive a set discount. If it was Tier 1, it was 10% discount on their fashion item.
I ask you again to speak directly into the mic so everyone can hear you. If a member wanted to take advantage of the G Fashion discount, how would they do that? What was the process?
It was done through the G Fashion platform.
Can you explain how?
I'm not exactly sure how.
The court said, "You said that they had access to songs that were sung or written by Mr. Gov't. How would they get access to that?"
The witness said, on the website. On the website there was a link that said G Music and they were able to see them there.
The court said, "Go ahead."
Who decided that G Club members should get AF Fashion discount in connection with their membership?
I do not know.
Did you ask anyone why that was a membership benefit?
No, I did not.
You mentioned that members could have, did you say, a stream on GTV? Is that correct?
Yes.
Who decided that would be a benefit for members?
I do not know.
Did you ask anyone why?
No.
You mentioned that there was a Christmas gift. What was the Christmas gift?
It was a box that included a branded coffee mug, Puerto Rican coffee and cookies.
Was that shipped?
Yes.
Was it shipped to every member?
The ones that had registered.
You mentioned hotel discount. Is that right?
Yes.
Where were the hotels that G Club's members were entitled to a discount for?
The hotels were in Puerto Rico.
How many hotels in Puerto Rico were they entitled to a discount for?
3.
And what was the discount that G Club's members were entitled to at those 3 hotels in Puerto Rico?
If I'm not mistaken, 10% discount.
How would that work? What was the process in which a G Club's member would attain those 10% discount at those 3 hotels in Puerto Rico?
They would receive a link or a code, depending, and they would be able to book their stay.
Would it be booked through G Clubs?
No.
Who would it be booked through?
The member.
The member would book it where?
Through the website of the hotel.
How much did it cost G Club to obtain the benefits from those 3 hotels for its members?
It did not cost us.
How many members took advantage of the 10% discount at the 3 hotels in Puerto Rico?
I do not know.
You mentioned that there was a dinner at a Michelin star restaurant. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can you describe to the members of the jury, Ms. Reyes, the nature of that benefit?
It was a dinner at a Michelin restaurant. I don't remember the name in the UK. It was on Chinese New Year.
And was it just one night dinner or multiple dinners?
Just that one night dinner.
Was the dinner free for G Club members?
No, they had to pay. It was a discount.
How much was the discount?
I don't recall.
How many members took advantage of that benefit?
I do not know.
How much did the dinner cost?
I don't recall.
You mentioned, did you say a charter?
There was a boat charter.
What do you mean by boat charter?
It was a boat service that they could book a boating trip.
And where was that boat service located?
In Puerto Rico.
What was the nature of the benefit or discount that G Club's members could obtain?
If I'm not mistaken, it was a discount, and I believe it included something like champagne. I don't remember exactly the percentage.
How much did it cost G Club to obtain that benefit for its members?
It didn't cost us.
How many G Club members took advantage of that benefit?
I do not know.
Did any G Club members live in Puerto Rico to your knowledge?
Not that I was aware of.
Did you mention something about Fiji and Australia?
Yes.
Can you describe that, the nature of that benefit to the members of the jury?
They were a block of dates for a hotel stay, one in Fiji and one in Australia. And they would get a discount and some other benefits as well.
What do you mean by block of dates?
It was a set number of dates. It was a set date that they would be able to book.
And how many dates were available for the G Club discount at the hotel in Fiji and Australia?
I don't recall specifically.
Approximately how many months, weeks?
Maybe a couple of weeks.
And how much money did it cost G Club to obtain that benefit for its members?
It did not cost us.
And how many G Club members, if any, to your knowledge took advantage of that benefit, the blocks?
I do not know.
You mentioned Formula One race?
Yes.
What was the nature of that benefit?
It was a discount that the members were able to select where they would like to view the race at the Monaco race and then throughout the year.
And how many events were there associated with that benefit?
Sorry. What do you mean?
Was it one race or more than one race?
The first one was Monaco, and then it was extended throughout the whole year.
How many races, do you know?
I do not know.
How many G Club members, to your knowledge, took advantage of the Formula One race?
I do not know.
I believe you mentioned. Did you mention FAO Schwartz?
Yes.
What was the nature of that benefit?
We had close off the toy store FAO Schwartz for our members. They would be able to tour the toy store. We had breakfast for them. They had discount on their merchandise, and that was 2 days.
How long was FAO Schwartz located where?
New York.
Where in New York?
I'm not exactly sure the address.
Manhattan?
Yes.
Were you present for that event?
Yes.
How long was FAO Schwartz closed for?
Like a couple of hours, like an hour.
How much did it cost for G Clubs to obtain that benefit for its members?
The booking of the space was around $13,000.
How many G Club members attended the FAO Schwartz event that you were present at?
Maybe 4 or 5.
Were there any other events scheduled in New York around the FAO Schwartz event?
The original idea for the FAO Schwartz was to have a tour of the toy store and later on have a gingerbread activity for the kids. That didn't happen.
Who canceled the gingerbread activity for the kids?
Yvette requested to cancel it.
Those benefits that we went through, were those available to every membership tier?
Yes, except G fashion, that was pertaining to their tier.
Every other benefit. Every tier got whether they were 50,000 tier or 10,000 tier.
Yes.
Is there a G Club newsletter?
We promoted the different benefits through their emails.
What is Orbit?
Orbit is the customer service company that we used for our members.
And what did Orbit do?
They would receive members' questions through them and then they would, depending on the question or the concern, they would assign them to different departments.
Where was Orbit located?
The agents were located in different parts of the world.
Did Orbit book travel for members?
No, they did not.
Did Orbit book hotel stays for members?
No, they did not.
Did Orbit rent cars for members?
No.
Was Orbit a concierge service?
No.
Did G Clubs offer its members concierge services?
Yes.
What sort of concierge services did G Clubs offer its members?
We didn't. It was named concierge service.
Did G Clubs have available to its members luxury sports cars to use?
No.
Did G Clubs have available to its members homes to stay in?
No.
To your knowledge, did G Club ever purchase a mansion?
Not that I was aware of.
Have you ever been to 675 Ramapo Boulevard?
I'm sorry.
Have you ever been to 675 Ramapo Boulevard?
I don't know where that is.
Do you know what the Crocker Mansion is?
The what? Sorry.
The Crocker Mansion?
No.
Are you aware of G Clubs ever purchasing property in New Jersey?
Not that I was aware.
Are you aware of G Clubs purchasing property anywhere in the United States?
Not that I was aware.
Are you aware of G Clubs purchasing property anywhere on the planet?
Not that I was aware of.
Can we please display what's in evidence as Government Exhibit 134? Ms. Reyes, can you see that on your screen?
Yes.
Do you know where this is?
No, I do not.
Is this a property that G Clubs owns to your knowledge?
Not that I'm aware of.
We can take that down. Ms. Reyes, did there come a time, if ever, where you proposed that G Club should offer a clubhouse to its members?
Yes.
Who did you propose that to?
We spoke collectively with the team in Puerto Rico that it would make sense at some point to have a club for our members.
And did you propose that idea to anybody?
There was a time where there was like a little island that was on sale, and I did propose that to Yvette. Yes.
And where was that island located?
In Puerto Rico.
And how much did that island cost approximately?
I'm not exactly sure, but it was in the millions, maybe more than 5. I don't know exactly.
Was it more or less than 12 million?
I'm not exactly sure. I would think more than 5.
What did Yvette say, if anything, when you proposed purchasing this island for members?
At the end, it wasn't like it didn't make sense to purchase an island due to the value of it.
Who decided how much money to spend on purchases that G Clubs made?
What purchases specifically?
Were you able to spend money, G Clubs money, on things?
Some things.
What are the things you were able to spend G Club money on?
Like if we had a lunch for an event with the employees, I would spend that, office supplies. For example, FAO Schwartz event.
Ms. Reyes, who were multiple memberships?
Multiple membership is where members are able to purchase more than one membership.
Whose idea was it to permit members to purchase more than one membership?
The request came from Yvette.
Can we please display what's in evidence as Government Exhibit GC 126? Zoom in at the top, please, Ms. Loftus. What is this document about, Ms. Reyes?
It's an email from Yvette to Jessica. Myself regarding reviewing the membership agreement to allow for multi-members.
Can you read the bottom email? It says, It's from Jessica Mastro Giovanni, starting with please revise.
Please revise the membership agreement ASAP to allow members to buy more than one membership. Need to be unlimited.
And what was Yvette's response to this email?
Jessica, please come to me about this.
What email address did Yvette use in this email?
Officework 2020.
Did Yvette have AG Club's domain email like you did?
Not that I was aware of.
The benefits that we discussed previously, did multiple withdrawn? How many memberships could a member purchase if they wanted to?
Multiples, I recall seeing at least 10.
One person buying 10 memberships?
Yes.
Was there any limit to the number of members that an individual could purchase?
Not that I recall.
Did you ask Yvette why G Club should implement a multiple membership option?
No.
Did you ask Mr. He why G Club should implement a multiple membership option?
Not that I recall.
What additional benefits, if any, did multiple memberships get?
They would get access more than once at the sweepstakes, participate in sweepstakes. And it was promoted that they would have access to VIP events and a concierge service.
You said it was promoted that multiple members would have access to VIP events. Were there any VIP events?
We did not host it.
Was there any concierge service for multiple members?
Not at the time.
At any other time that you were at G Clubs?
No.
Were members provided a membership agreement?
Upon registration, they had to upon registration. Online, they would see their membership agreement.
Were they required to acknowledge it?
To the best of my understanding, they had to check, click on a box.
If we can bring up what's in evidence, please, Ms. Loftus, as Government Exhibit GC-28. And who's this email from at the top?
It's an email from Anna to Jessica and myself.
And what is the attachment called that's attached to this email?
G Club Membership Agreement, Red Line Multiple Membership.
Zoom out of that, please, Ms. Loftus. And this is a response to the email you mentioned before, that we talked about before. Can you zoom in on the bottom email, please? On this email, the CC line, it says officework2020@protonmail.com. Do you see that, Ms. Reyes?
Yes.
Whose email is that?
Yvette's.
Did you ask Yvette why she used that email address for G Club's business? officework2020@protonmail.com?
No, I did not.
Ms. Loftus, if we can go to the next page. Is this the membership agreement that Ana Izquierdo adjusted?
Can you scroll it a bit? Yes.
If can you go, Ms. Loftus, to page 4, paragraph 12b. Go down a little bit, please. Can you zoom in on that? Ms. Reyes, can you read the underlined text beginning with member may?
Member may purchase more than one membership with G Clubs for themselves and will be assigned a membership number per membership. However, members with multiple memberships will only be able to use one membership for special pricings from G Club affiliates and will not be able to combine said memberships.
Did Ana Izquierdo also report to you that?
She would receive instruction from Yvette, yes.
You can zoom out of that, Ms. Loftus. And if you could go to paragraph 16? Zoom in on paragraph 16, please. Can you read that paragraph, please?
Non-disparagement. The member and each immediate family member beneficiary hereby agrees not to disparage G Clubs, its parent or affiliate companies, nor any of their respective owners, partners, officers, directors, employees, agents, or other representatives, key host or spokespeople, including for avoidance of doubt, Mr. Gwongue. For purposes of this agreement, disparage shall mean make any statements to a third party that are unlawful, false, misleading, defamatory, harassing, or abusive regarding one or more of the foregoing. Nothing herein shall prohibit or restrict a member or immediate family member beneficiary's ability to publish an honest review or performance assessment of G Clubs or any goods or services it provides.
What was your understanding, if any, why the G Club's membership agreement, as its text says, prohibited disparaging statements about Gov't?
I do not have an understanding.
Did you ask anyone why this paragraph was included in the membership agreement?
No, I did not.
You can take that down. Can I have one moment? What was G Club's policy, if any, about refund request?
The policy changed through time. Originally, it was cancellation 3 days after the membership, and later on it was extended to 12 or 14 days. I'm not exactly sure.
What do you mean it was a 3-day policy initially?
That after a member got their membership, they had 3 days to request cancellation.
And then it was extended to 14 days. Is that what you said, or 12?
12 or 14 days.
Why was it extended to 12 or 14 days?
I was told that it was due to something along the lines of a European law that required that time.
And when you started at G Clubs, was the refund policy strict?
Yes.
Were a lot of refunds given out?
No.
Did that change where the refund changed, when the refund policy became less strict?
Yes.
What changed for the refund policy to become less strict?
After G Clubs receive a subpoena, the refunds changed.
Subpoena from who?
The government.
Ms. Reyes, one of the benefits I think you mentioned was let me take a step back. What is G-Talk?
G-Talks, it was originally intended to be an in-person event. Due to COVID, we had to shut to virtual. So it was a virtual event where we would have different topics. We had a sweepstakes for our members.
And what happened? How many G-Talks were there while you were at G Club?
We hosted 2.
And when were they?
The first one was in February 2021. The second one was in March 2022.
And can you just describe what happened at G-Talks?
Depended. The first one was, we talked about G Clubs. We presented the G Fashion collection. And we had the sweepstakes of the G Fashion prices. There were vehicle prizes as well and cash value. The second one was more towards community through love. So we had different videos of different locations and we had the sweepstakes as well.
Where did the G-Talks event occur?
The first one it was virtual, so the different speakers were in different locations. The second one, the main broadcast was in New York office.
Who could watch or how could someone watch the G-Talks event?
It was a link to the best of my understanding that was provided.
So it was online?
Yes.
Were only members permitted to watch G-Talk?
The first G-Talk was members only. The second G-Talk was open to the general public.
What was Miles Gua's role, if any, at G-Talk events?
He spoke at the G-Talks.
We can take a look at what's in evidence as GXCE 171. Ms. Reyes, what is this document?
It looks like the agenda for one of the G-Talks.
If we can look at GXCE 170. What is this?
Continuation of the agenda for the G-Talk.
And is that you by host?
Yes.
What did you say in your welcoming remarks?
I don't recall exactly.
If we can look at GXCE 172. Can you zoom in at the top, please, Ms. Loftus? Can you read what it says at the top?
List of do not words/ideas.
What is this document?
It was a document of do not say words that was provided to Mr. Gov't.
Why was a document of do not say words provided to Gov't?
I do not know.
What was the purpose of this document?
To be a list of do not say words.
Do you know if was said these words or not?
I do not know.
Why not?
I do not know Mandarin.
Can you scroll down, please, Ms. Loftus? Stop right there. Do you see where it says growth and growth projections at the top?
Yes.
Do you know why growth and growth projections were words that Gov't should not say?
Mr. Limarie said, objection to the form, Your Honor.
The court said, overruled. You may answer.
I do not know.
Participation, participate, business or profits. Do you know why those were words Gov't was not supposed to say?
I do not know.
GTV. You know why that was a word Gov't was not supposed to say?
I do not know.
What about Soraka? Do you know why that was a word Gov't was not supposed to say?
I do not know.
Do you know what Soraka is?
No.
What about voice of Gov't, voice of good? Do you know what that is?
No.
Rule of Law Foundation, Rule of Law Society. Do you know why Gov't was not supposed to say those words?
I do not know.
Was this list for G-Talk 1 or G-Talk 2?
To the best of my recollection, G-Talk 1.
What was the date of G-Talk 1 approximately?
February 2021.
And then a couple of rows down it says Yvette Wong Yvette. Do you know why Gov't was not supposed to mention Yvette?
I do not know.
Can we scroll down, Ms. Loftus? And it says Sarah. Below Sarah it says Mulan. Do you know why Gov't was not supposed to mention Mulan?
I do not know.
Do you know who Mulan is?
I've seen an image of the Disney character of Mulan, if you will. I do not know.
What was your understanding of what Mulan did in relation to G Club?
Mr. Limarie said, object to the foundation, Your Honor.
The court said, did she do anything in relation to the G clubs?
I'll withdraw it. What was your understanding of who Mulan was?
I do not know who she was.
Did Mulan do anything in relation to G Club?
Mr. Limarie said, same objection, Your Honor.
The court said, you may answer.
She participated in the committee for the G-Talks. That's where I saw the image.
Do you know what the Iron-Blooded Group is?
I'm sorry.
The Iron-Blooded Group, do you know what that is?
No.
Below Mulan, Ms. Reyes, it says SEC, Investigation and Litigations. Do you know why Gov't was not supposed to say those words?
I do not know.
What about Golden Spring? Do you know why Gov't was not supposed to say Golden Spring?
I do not know.
Do you know what Golden Spring is?
I do not know.
Below Golden Spring, regulators, DOJ, Attorney General, prosecutors, U.S. government. Do you know why Gov't was not supposed to say anything about those words?
I do not know.
Scroll down. And below U.S. government it says G-Coin, G-Dollar, H-Coin, H-Dollar. Do you know why Gov't was not supposed to say anything about G-Coin, G-Dollar, H-Coin, and H-Dollar?
I do not know.
Do you know what G-Coin and G-Dollar are?
No.
Do you know what H-Coin and H-Dollar are?
Yes.
What do you understand those things to be, H-Coin and H-Dollar?
Those are methods of payments amongst H-Dollar is, my understanding, like a one-on-one. And H-Coin is, it fluctuates.
You can take that down. If we could please display for the witness GC 511. What is this a picture of?
Mr. Gov't and myself.
Mr. Finkel said, government offers GC 511.
Mr. Limarie said, no objection.
The court said, it is admitted.
Government's Exhibit GC 511 received in evidence. By Mr. Finkel.
Where was this photograph taken?
In the New York office.
Where was this New York office located?
I don't know exactly the address. If I look at a map, Manhattan is in the front. So it's in the left side. If Central Park is in the center, it's in the left.
To the left side of Central Park?
Yes.
Ms. Reyes, why was this photograph taken? I'm going to ask you to point the mic toward you.
Can you repeat the question?
What was the occasion for this photograph?
This was taken during the second G-Talks event.
And who selected your outfit?
Mr. Gov't.
And what brand made that outfit that you're wearing?
G Fashion.
Did you keep that G Fashion outfit after the G-Talks event?
It was offered, but I did not keep it ultimately.
Why did you not keep it ultimately?
Because we're asked to pay for it.
Who was asked to pay for it?
G Clubs.
How much was G Clubs charged for the outfit that you wore during the G-Talk event?
I do not recall the exact amount of the dress.
Approximately how much?
If I was to guess, maybe around 1,000.
Mr. Kumraju said, "Object to the guessing, Your Honor."
The court said, "Don't guess. If you don't know, just say you don't know."
You can take that down. Ms. Reyes, you mentioned something about a sweepstakes in connection with the G-Talk. Can you explain your understanding of that sweepstakes?
The sweepstakes were: we had different prizes, and members that register for the event were selected to be the lucky winners of the different prizes.
What were the kinds of prizes that the members could win if they were selected?
We had vehicles, G Fashion items, different G Fashion items, and cash values.
Do you know how the winners were selected? Exactly how it worked?
There was a sweepstake company, and they were the ones that selected the different winners.
If we can please display what I believe is in evidence as GX121. Do you know who this individual is?
Mr. Young.
Did Mr. Young ever win the sweepstakes?
Yes.
What did he win?
A Lamborghini.
Did you ever meet him, Mr. Young?
In person?
Yes.
Yes.
If we can please display what's in evidence as Government Exhibit GXGZ547. Zoom in on that one, please. Ms. Loftus, can you read that message?
These 3 members would like to visit your office. Ideally take off tomorrow from New York City. Fly back on Sunday. Let me know when you can talk about this. Thank you.
Who was that message sent to?
It was sent to I don't see, but I recall the message sent to me.
Sent to you?
Yes.
From whom?
From Yvette.
And what is your understanding of what Yvette meant? These 3 members would like to visit your office.
There was a time where 3 members came to our Puerto Rican office to see the office.
What were their names?
Alex Chi, Mr. Young, and Sharon or Shannon.
Mr. Young, the image of the individual we just saw with the AirPods?
Yes.
Can you zoom out of that, Ms. Loftus, and scroll down? Can you zoom in on the second line? Can you read that?
Mr. Young Zhang.
Who do you understand that to be?
Mr. Young.
The AirPods picture?
Yes.
Did Mr. Young come to the Puerto Rico office?
Yes.
Was it around this time in the summer of 2022?
To the best of my recollection, yes.
What was your understanding of why Mr. Young visited the Puerto Rico office?
They were there to visit the Puerto Rico office, meet the team, get to know the different departments, and talk about G Clubs.
How much time did you spend with Mr. Young in Puerto Rico?
I don't recall specifically.
Did Yvette ask you to take him out to dinner as well, Mr. Young?
I don't remember her specifically telling me to take them out to dinner, but to be hospitable and host them, so we did.
What did you talk about with Mr. Young?
I don't remember specifically.
Did you talk about taking down the Chinese Communist Party?
No.
Did you talk about the democratic movement against the Chinese Communist Party?
No.
What was your understanding of what, if anything, Mr. Young did?
I understood he was a lawyer, an attorney.
Take that down, please. Aside from the Lamborghini that Mr. Young won, were there other members who won cars?
There were other members that won cars, but to the best of my recollection, they ultimately decided for the cash value.
What do you mean they ultimately decided for the cash value?
Instead of having the physical car, they decided on the value of the car.
And to your knowledge, were payments made to some of those members?
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
Did all of those members who selected cash value accept a wire transfer?
No, there were different payment methods. There's wires. There came a time I believe there was checks, and there's in form of credit to their membership.
What do you mean by a form of credit?
The value of the price would be credited to their annual fee or any membership depending on what they selected.
Did some of the winners choose that option, the credit for G Club membership?
I do recall, yes, one.
Are you familiar with an email address notices@gmail.com?
Yes.
Who used that email address?
The legal department.
For what purpose?
Legal matters, cancellations, member complaints.
What do you mean by cancellations?
When members requested for cancellation, it would be assigned to the legal for review.
If we can pull up what I think is an evidence as GXW17. Can you see that on your screen, Ms. Reyes?
Yes.
What is this?
It's the G Club's website.
Can you scroll down, please, Ms. Loftus? Scroll down a little bit more. On the right below experiences that enrich, can you read the text below that, please?
Our concierge staff crafts individually curated experiences that give you exclusive access to the world's most remarkable destinations, products and services.
Mr. Finkel said, Your Honor, in the abundance of caution, the government offers GXW17. I believe it's in. But if not, the government offers.
Mr. Comraju said, no objection.
The court said, it is admitted.
Government's Exhibit GXW17 received in evidence. By Mr. Finkel.
Ms. Reyes, did G Clubs have concierge staff that crafted individually curated experiences for its members?
No, we did not.
Was written on the G Club's website true?
No, we did not offer.
Mr. Finkel said, Government also offers GXW16 and GXW19.
Mr. Comraju said, no objection, Your Honor.
The court said, they're admitted.
Government's exhibits GXW16 and GXW19 received in evidence. By Mr. Finkel.
Ms. Loftus, if we can pull up GXW16. What is this?
The G Club website.
Can you scroll down a little bit? By the way, who selected these images?
The marketing agency and our marketing team.
So here it says, where will your curiosity take you? Can you read what it says below that?
G Club's members are empowered to curate their own one-of-a-kind experiences. Be it a hot air balloon ride over the vineyards of northern Spain, a romantic dinner on the shores of the Seine River, or a private guided safari. The only limit is your imagination.
Ms. Reyes, did the G Clubs offer its members a hot air balloon ride?
Not at the time, no.
Did it offer its members a romantic dinner on the shores of the Seine River?
Not at the time, no.
Or a private guided safari?
Not at the time, no.
Is this information about what G Clubs offered its members true?
We did not offer it at the time, no.
Let's scroll down, please. Keep going, please. Below next to the helicopter. It says be inquisitive, live inspired. Did I read that right?
Yes.
Can you read the text below that?
You have the support of a complete team of professionals that not only crafts unique experience for your pleasure, but also works with you to fulfill those items that are on your bucket list.
Was there a complete team of professionals that crafted unique experiences for G Club members?
Not at the time.
At any time while you were at G Clubs was there?
We were working on it, but it wasn't in place.
Is there a time that Gov't was on the website?
Yes.
Did there come a time when he was removed from the website?
Yes.
Who asked that he be removed from the website?
Mr. He.
Did Mr. He explain why he wanted Gov't to be removed from the website?
To the best of my recollection, it was because creating difficulties with his banking relationships.
Ms. Murray said, Your Honor, I see it's 4:56. If Your Honor would like, this is a good time to break. But it's up to the court, of course.
The court said, That's fine. Members of the jury, we will finish now. And you will return tomorrow ready to come into the courtroom at 9:30. Remember that you're not allowed to discuss this case amongst yourselves, or with anyone else. Don't permit anyone to discuss it in your presence. Don't read, watch or listen to anything from any source that touches on any matter related to this case. Have a good evening and you may step out. Don't discuss your testimony.
The law clerk said, jury exiting.
Jury not present.
The court said, Please be seated. Is there anything before we stop for the day?
Mr. Kumraju said, not from the defense.
Mr. Finkel said, nor the government. Have a nice evening.
The court said, Same to you.
Adjourned to June 18, 2024 at 9 a.m.